What is Ultimate Combat? Welcome to the Ultimate Combat Experience. We're going to take you on a journey that you've never seen before. We're going to show you no-holds-barred fighting.
Joy about this tournament is the contrasting styles these fighters come in with and the different disciplines that they've trained under.
Yeah, you'll certainly see a contrast here. Adam's a real bread and butter type fighter, and Marmel's going to throw some more flashy spinning type kicks.
The crowd is ready to go. Our referee Rich Layton in the ring. This one's scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds, and it looks like our fighters are ready, so let's get underway. Adam comes right out with a kick to the leg and almost connects to the head. Those are the kinds of kicks and moves we were expecting from Marmel.
Well, actually, Adam's staying, with his base to the ground. Marmel's jumping up off the ground just a little bit, leaving his feet.
And Marmel has lost his headgear. We had some problems with this earlier. Rich is going to step in and make sure that it's secure. One of the things that we need to point out at this point, Mike, is the safety of these fighters is always important.
And Richie Layton's an excellent referee. He's got a lot of experience. He'll keep a good eye on things.
So a touch of the gloves, and we are right back to the action. Marmel comes awfully close with another kick, as does Adam Faulkner. So both of these fighters using their legs quite a bit in the early stages of this round.
Again, I'm seeing Marmel lunging a little bit too much. Leaving his feet could be a problem later on in the fight.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask, is whether that's a good idea for these fighters, any fighter really, to be off of their feet so often.
You want to keep your foundation beneath you. It's probably best to keep your feet firmly on the ground.
There's a little bit of sizing up the other opponent, except for right there when Marmel really takes air.
Sometimes those kicks can be pretty devastating if he lands them. I think he needs to set him up a little better.
Adam steps in. You'll see Adam use those kicks to set up his right and left as he steps in and starts to make a move on Calatrava. Now Calatrava back into the corner and up against the ropes a little bit. And Adam almost connecting with a kick to the head.
Boy, I'd like to see both these fighters keep their hands up a little more. They're leaving their head completely exposed.
Well, and you had told me early on that this is something you expect in the first couple of rounds. Well, look at, again, Calatrava covering up against the ropes, but this is something you expected early on in this tournament, that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of defense going on.
Well, that's kind of common among beginner fighters. They've got great kicks, they've got great punches, they just don't really know how to defend them against them.
Both of them, and there's the end of the first round, but both of those fighters toward the end of that round trying that back spin kick and missing on both occasions. Size up that first round for us, Mike. How do you think it went?
A lot of action between both fighters. I think conditioning may become a role as we go on. Those jumping kicks take a lot out of you.
We're right back into the action for the second round, and Calatrava comes out right where he left off with a high kick to the head, but again, as you mentioned, that takes a lot of steam, a lot of fuel out of the tank. We'll see how conditioning plays a factor as this fight goes on. And Adam up against the ropes again is Calatrava as he continues to throw right and left hand punches, and Calatrava able to do nothing but cover up at this point.
Both these fighters seem pretty evenly matched as far as technique is concerned, just contrasting styles.
And again, Adam stepping in, getting a couple of punches and stepping right back out. Calatrava now toward the center of the ring. Tries a couple of kicks, but Adam clearly is better trained with his hands. You can tell that right off.
Yeah, these little guys are fun to watch. A lot of action, constant action.
I've said all the time, sometimes we'll announce these guys as lightweight fighters and people expect it's going to be a lightweight fight. But, boy, there's no give up in either one of these fighters and many of these lightweights.
The action is always fast and furious with little guys. I enjoy watching them.
Not much behind either one of the kicks from these guys at this point. And Calatrava again trying to get one to the head but misses. And Adam follows it up knowing that Calatrava, well, now Calatrava's up against the ropes and just a right and a left and a right, and Rich steps in to give him the standing 8.
I think we're seeing, we talked about earlier, the result of all those jumping kicks. Looks like Marmel's a little bit out of gas right here.
Well, Rich is trying to get a response out of him to see if he wants to continue to go, and I can't, well, he's waving it off, and that's going to do it.
Yeah, again, I think the tank was empty there, and Marmel just decided he didn't want any more of this.
It was tough to tell from our vantage point whether Marmel was saying that he didn't want to continue or whether he was just non-responsive to Rich at that point. But with hands raised, Adam Faulkner is going to be our first winner in the first round of the Ultimate Combat Experience.
Again, a good kickoff to the event, a lot of action. I think Marmel probably wish he was in a little better shape.
What do you think was your strong point?
Probably just kicking and following in with the hands.
How you feel?
Feel good, I'm ready to go some more.
So we'll make this one official, and again, fighting out of the red corner, your winner is Adam Faulkner, and he will move on in the ultimate combat experience in our search for the toughest fighters in Utah.
As always, a gritty performance out of Adam. I look forward to seeing him fight the next round.
Next up, we've got NHB, which is no holds barred fighting. And let me tell you something, folks, I hope you enjoyed what you just saw, because let me tell you, hey, we've got some action coming up that's going to be later in the show, which is going to be our fight of the week. So stay tuned.
This is our first no-holds-bar match of the night, and instead of the 3 2-minute rounds we had in kickboxing, Mike, this is 3 3-minute rounds.
No-holds-barred is a whole different sport from kickboxing. Anything goes just about in these fights.
Our fighters into the ring, fighting from the Ogden Fighting Alliance. In the blue corner is Josh Buck.
Josh Buck is a former state high school wrestling champion. He's going to come in with some submission and wrestling background.
And his opponent tonight is Dae Senesombath.
Dae's actually an accomplished kickboxer. He's going to want to stay on his feet.
One thing you're going to notice quick on in this match as we get underway is that the first tactic seems to be to get your opponent down on the mat.
Well, for Josh, it seems to be a good strategy. He's more accustomed to being on the ground, and Dae probably wanted to stay on his feet a little longer.
Now they'll just kind of jockey for position here as they try to get an advantage over the opponent so that maybe they can put on one of those holds where the opponent obviously would give up.
Josh he just took a great position here. This is called a full mount, and probably the most superior position you can have in this type of fighting.
Just kind of riding like a pony, and while he's up there, he might as well throw a couple of punches. This is a tough position for Dae to be in because you got to protect yourself, but on the other hand, you need your hands and arms to help get out of there.
Yeah, Dae's in a lot of trouble right here. He needs to shell up and try to get out from underneath. That was a big mistake, giving him his back, though.
Rolling over like that's a problem for Dae?
It's not a good idea. He's going to get choked here, it looks like.
Yeah, and you can see also that Josh has got his leg tied up, so he takes that advantage away as well. And these...
looks like Dae just tapped out.
Yeah, Dae has tapped out, and that's going to do it. A lot of these matches are going to go this way, particularly early on in the tournament.
Yeah, there's some mismatches early on as the bracketing gets closer. As we get closer to the end, the bracketing tightens up quite a bit. That was a neck crank, actually, that Josh Buck put on right there. He didn't actually sink the choke in all the way. He just kind of put a pain compliance type move on, and Dae tapped out due to the pain on his neck.
Lonnie's going to make this quick. He gets into the center of the ring, and we'll make this one official. But your winner again in the blue corner is Josh Buck. Now, Mike, didn't you say that Dae was just determined that he wanted to try this no-holds-barred?
Dae's actually a kickboxer, and for whatever reason, he decided he wanted to try no-holds-barred fighting. He could do okay at this if he learned to stay on his feet, keep his opponent away from him so he doesn't get taken down quite so quick.
You look really, really good. How do you feel?
Great, feel great.
Are you ready for the next fight?
Yes, I am.
What are your emotions right now? What are you feeling?
Well, I'm just pumped and ready to go again.
Ready to go again?
Yeah, I just didn't expect him to come out with that takedown right away, so yesterday I just came out the better man tonight, so.
Well, it's again scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds, and Rich Layton giving some last-minute instructions to both of these fighters. But, boy, you can tell in height and reach, Cameron's got an advantage here, so I wouldn't think Cole wants to get too close and try and box his way toe-to-toe.
Well, you'd think you'd see a bit of a contrast from the fight before all the action in the lightweights. Now you've got the big boys and the power.
Always fun, and there's Cole coming right out with a couple of left jabs and moves Cameron back. But, boy, Cameron doesn't waste any time in getting in to mix it up. And Cole Rose gets him up against the ropes, even gets a knee in there, and Cameron throws a right leg kick that really didn't do too much. There's something down on the mat in the ring. I hope that isn't going to affect the situation at all, but this is going to be another one of those fights, I think, Mike, where you have to wonder if they're just going to run out of gas.
Both guys came to fight today, didn't they?
They are really going after it.
Yeah, these big guys usually can't sustain this type of energy throughout a fight. I think they're going to settle down just a little bit and get into their groove here.
Cameron throwing that left jab and trying to set up that big right hand. And, boy, when he brings it, he really brings it. It's almost like a roundhouse punch.
Boy, and he can hit you from across the ring, too. He's got a lot of reach on this kid.
Yeah, and I think Cole Rose is now discovering that maybe he doesn't want to use the same tactics to use in the first couple of seconds of this fight, but they're both just wailing away on each other, and if Cole has a problem at this point, Mike, it's that he always gets himself back up against the ropes.
Well, there's just nowhere to hide with those long arms that Cameron comes with.
Oh, and he is just unloading on him. Now, Cameron is just wailing away the right hand. Cole has nowhere to go, and he doesn't really look like he wants to get out of there very badly.
I give Rose credit, though. He came to fight. He's not, doesn't seem like he's being really affected by these punches other than just moving him around the ring.
Boy, there's a big right leg, too, that almost sat there for a little while on the left shoulder of Cole Rose, and both of them looks like happy at this moment just to catch some air.
Yeah, Cole's settling down just a little bit. I think he's running out of gas.
A little bit of a stumble there. I couldn't tell if that was some weak knees or whatever, but yeah.
Probably weak knees as a result of fatigue, it's looking like to me.
He does look like he is slowly running out of gas, and he's happy at this point just to let Cameron wait there in the middle of the ring.
Those arms are dangling. They're getting a little heavy on him.
Yeah.
Fortunate end of the first round.
Yeah, I was going to say it couldn't have come at a better time for Cole Rose. And again, you mentioned that he trains out of the basement of his house. A little amateurish in his technique.
He was real raw in his talent, but give him credit. He came to fight.
Yeah, and he's not going to back out now either. They're ready for the beginning of round number 2, and we step right back into it. Cameron Griffith, and there's a nice kick to the side, although it didn't seem to have much of an effect on Cole. He's the one now trying to back Griffith up, but Cameron gets him back into the corner, and Cole's got to make his way to the center of the ring.
What an exchange from these big guys, though. That's a lot of energy being expended right there.
Yeah, a lot of energy, but not a whole lot of scoring, I don't think, going on. Not many of those punches actually making contact where they need to be.
No, this is almost tough man-ish in what they're doing here. I fear that they're not going to be able to sustain this for too much longer.
Cameron now steps in with a right kick and getting ready with that big right hand and almost makes connection there on the left side. But you can see Cole Rose at this point just doesn't have much left to give it to Cameron Griffith.
Well, that chin's hanging so low it's sitting on his chest.
And he's back into the corner again with Cameron throwing that big right hand. I would think if Cameron could just get that one on target one time, this fight might be over.
Yeah, Cameron needs to settle down just a little bit and set up his punches a little more effectively.
Cameron, you said, though, has only been in the ring for what now? Training officially for 3 months, maybe?
About 3 months, but what a transformation he's made. He was about 150 pounds bigger than he is now, and his training, you can see he's come a long ways.
Yeah, both of these fighters, though, you can tell taking in some oxygen. They need
It's got a little ways to go, too, it seems.
They need some help. I don't know what Cole was thinking there. He got a kick and then looked over at Rich like he needed some help.
He was hoping he could get a little timeout there. No timeouts in kickboxing.
No timeouts in kickboxing. You just got to keep fighting. They get tied up a little bit, and Rich steps in to separate them and get him back into the fighting mode. But again, and I know we've said it before, give Cole credit. Even though he's backed into the corner and he's really losing this fight at this point, he's not giving up. He's still fighting back.
No, he came to fight. Richie Layton does a good job of keeping an eye on the fighters, keep them separate.
Looks like Cameron's trying to figure out how to end this fight.
I think Cameron's out of gas, too.
Yeah, not having much luck with it. So, there's a big right hand. And again, if he could have connected, who knows? This one might have been over there. Cameron reaches out because there was one extra punch thrown after the bell, but that is round number 2. And we're going to get one that's going to go 3 rounds here as both corners are doing what they can to get some air back into these fighters.
Boy, I saw a little smile on Richie Layton's face there. He's somewhat amused by what he's seen in the ring.
Well, even as a referee, you know, Rich is a coach. He likes to see this happen from time to time where guys just get out there and get after it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Cameron starts off with a couple of kicks to try and get Cole back and size up that big right hand. And I think, there it is, coming right after the chin of Cole Rose, and Cole Rose is back in the corner, but continues to throw a couple of body blows himself, and Cameron gets a couple of good shots to the chin there.
Boy, Cole did take a couple of good shots on the chin right there.
And even an uppercut toward the end of that exchange, but he continues to push. He continues to try and make his way out into the ring to extend this fight.
Cameron's landing that right hand at will now. That Cole Rose got a pretty tough chin, though. He's out of gas, though.
These guys are just happy at this point to let the other one come and attack him. They aren't being the aggressor too much, and I couldn't really see whether that right hand connected. Rich was kind of in the camera view, but boy, there's a miss. Just about the time Cameron throws that big right hand, Cole leans in and he tends to miss, but we'll see how much longer this one might go. It might go the distance.
I don't think either one has the energy to put the other away. I think we're probably going to end this fight with somewhat of a dancing match here.
Yeah, and
not much power on those punches there anymore.
Right back where he's been most of the fight, Cole finds himself against the ropes, except for right now when he's got actually Cameron, and Cameron's holding on. Rich I would think would step in and get that separated, but he doesn't need to as both fighters give up and step back into the center of the ring.
Not a whole lot of action here at the end of the third round. It was a pretty fun fight to watch, though, first 2 rounds.
Yeah, and this one's going to go to the judges' scorecard, it looks like, and you never know what's going to happen there, but you said it depends on what the judges are actually looking for, how those scorecards go.
Yeah, you just never know. Some judges look for more of a puncher, some look for more of a traditional boxer. It really depends on what the judges' tastes are.
I don't know if you could see that shot right there, but Cameron did make connection with the jaw of Cole Rose one more time.
I don't think there's much question on who's won this fight here.
Didn't have much of an effect. And oh, there's a kick right to the side of the head. Both of these guys are going to give, you know, a hug, a little congratulations. They're happy just to see this over. And you see Cameron shaking his head.
Doesn't look like he's real happy with his performance, although he's got nothing to hang his head about.
Well, it's one thing to train. It's another thing to step into the ring and use all of that energy. You know, it's a whole different thing once you get into the ring.
Right. I think Cameron just learned a valuable lesson that training in the gym and then training in the ring or fighting in the ring are 2 different stories.
And Cole using the ropes, I think, just to prop himself up at this point.
He's looking for something to hold him up.
Yeah, both fighters are smiling as they step back in. Nobody seriously hurt here, and I know Cameron probably would like to have had a little more power behind it. You can
Cole's
see
still a little wobbly in the knees.
If he can stand up long enough, we'll make this official. And Rich Layton grabs both the fighters, and your winner, of course, there it is. We predicted it. Fighting out of the red corner is Cameron Griffith. So congratulations to Cameron. He's going to move on in this Ultimate Combat experience.
I really am going to prepare for next week. I got a lot of cardio to do.
Well, and you were talking about, Mike, all of the cardio that he'd already done in your gym, and obviously he's learned he needs a little bit more.
There's getting in shape, and then there's getting in fight shape, and he's just found out what getting in fight shape's all about. So he's got a little ways to go.
Hey, I need everybody to stay tuned because let me tell you something, we got a treat for you. We've got the most brutal, bloodiest striker tonight. Make sure you stay tuned because you don't want to miss this. Welcome back. And let me tell you what, we've got a killer kickboxing match between Daniel Green, the Destroyer, the Berlin Wall, and we've got Eric Medina. And let me tell you what, there's some serious action in here, so make sure if you're a little squeamish down in your boiler, hey, don't watch the TV because you might not like what you see.
Hit with his feet as he is with his hands, and we're about ready to get underway. Here we go for the first round.
You'll see Daniel's a real accurate kicker and puncher. He doesn't spend a whole lot of energy when he's not actually landing on his intended target.
Well, he's got a real nasty uppercut, too, and you saw him throw it real early in this fight just to see if he was going to get through. And Eric comes out throwing a lot of punches left and right, but he also...
right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, he also leaves himself open for that big right hand from Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel's real patient. He's going to pick his shots and set him up.
You'll also notice that Daniel is one of those fighters who does decide to wear the shin guard.
He says he uses that more for defensive purposes, just for blocking. He doesn't really use that left leg as an offensive tool too much, other than to set his more powerful right leg up.
Daniel appears to be a little cocky from time to time in the ring, too. He's calling him out.
Boxing. And let me tell you something. I've seen some of these fighters. I've seen some good fights, and I'm going to tell you what. It's a lot tougher than you really think it is. So what I need you to do is stay tuned, have your eyes open, be ready for your jaw to drop because there's going to be some great action coming right at you. We've got Mike Stidham standing right here. He is the owner and proprietor of the Ultimate Combat Training Facility. Tonight, Mike is going to tell us a little bit about kickboxing and no-holds-barred fighting. Mike, can you kind of give us a little update on what we have in store?
You bet. The tournament we've got set up, we want to find Utah's toughest fighter. To accommodate everybody, we put 2 different divisions. Kickboxing for the stand-up fighters and no-holds-barred for the guys that really want to get after it. Kickboxing, they can't knee, they can't elbow. There are a little more rules. They can't go to the ground, they can't clinch, but it's traditional kicking to the legs and above the waist and the head. Knockout wins. Kind of more, a little bit like boxing, but with kicks. NHB is just that, no holds barred. There are some rules, but not very many.
Okay, let's talk about kickboxing now. In the tournament, Do any of the
now saying, come on, step back here, and what he's doing is just psyching his opponent and trying to create that opportunity.
Right. Outside the ring, Daniel's about as nice a guy as you're ever going to meet. He uses that to kind of bait his opponent into some of those powerful kicks you just saw him land right there.
Yeah, Eric took one to the right side, too, and Medina, well, he tried to throw a kick and actually lost his balance there.
Medina's not really great at kicking.
fighters, do they get to have any shin guards or any kind of headgear? What kind of gloves are they using?
Again, to accommodate everybody, we tried to make rules that were a little bit neutral. Some of the Muay Thai guys didn't want any headgear, any pads, and some of the American stylists wanted some more pads, so we came up neutral. Shin guards are optional. Headgear is mandatory by the state of Utah. For amateur, we have to have headgear. And the boxing gloves are 12 ounce.
Does the shin guards, do they give any kind of advantage to that kickboxer?
I don't think so. If you're a trained kickboxer, your shins should be hard enough to where you use it as a weapon. So to me, I would prefer not to have them.
Okay, now how about no holds barred fighting?
No holds barred, there are no rules except for to make it not ultimate fighting in Utah, we got to have rounds and we got to have weight classes, and we've done that.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, Mike Stidham, we thank you all.
A bit of a boxer, not had much kicking experience.
Yeah, and I think he felt that last kick from Daniel enough that he doesn't want to get back in there to take another one.
You can see Medina crosses his feet quite a bit too. He needs to work on his footwork as well.
Oh, there's a big right hand and a left uppercut. Goodness gracious, Eric's still on his feet.
Boy, that Dan Green is tough and accurate too.
And then he comes back with a couple of kicks just for good measure, but and that's what he's doing right now, it looks like, is just measuring Eric Medina up for this fight.
Again, I think Dan could probably end this fight at any time he wants to. He's being very patient and trying to maybe work on some of his technique for later rounds.
Well, Eric came out fighting right now. He's just playing defense quite a bit, and again, he finds himself up against the ropes. Daniel choosing not to throw some punches when it looks like he probably could, because Eric's not protecting himself much, and especially after he throws those punches.
Daniel's setting up real wisely, setting up the head by taking the body apart with those kicks.
So Eric Medina makes it through the first round with Daniel Green, but you can see what we were talking about. This is a fun fight, and Daniel Green showing you what he's all about. Eric still hanging in there as we get underway for round number 2. And Daniel comes right back out with that big right leg, a couple of times as a matter of fact.
Yeah, there he throws the left leg now. He says he uses it for defensive purposes, but every now and then he throws it in on offense.
You can tell that Eric brings his legs up like he's going to throw a kick. And oh! What happened?
Goodness, that was a great kick.
Right to the bridge of the nose. And you know, it doesn't take Rich Layton long to say we are done. Goodness gracious.
You can see why now.
It looks like we might have a broken nose here.
Oh, there's blood coming all over the place there.
We've got a mess in the ring, and I'm surprised, quite frankly, that Eric Medina is still standing. You see the mouth guard come out, and laying there it is, laying on the mat. He's walking over to his corner, but I won't be surprised if that was a broken nose. But boy, that kick right across the bridge of the nose of Eric Medina, and I think we're going to get another shot at it from a different angle. We'll see if we can get that for our viewers now. As just as we were telling you, Daniel Green sets it up perfectly, and wham!
Oh, devastating kick.
Not much of defense there.
Well, again, I think Daniel was setting that up earlier with those body shots, and as you can see, Eric dropped his hands as the kick started up and thinking the kick was going to go to his body, and it didn't. It went right to the nose.
You know what? It only took Rich about 2 seconds. Well, I don't know if I wanted to see that view.
You can see why Rich stopped that one immediately.
It only took him a second or two to wave off this fight. He knew we had some problems there, but Eric's still on his feet. Let's go up into the ring with AJ and Alex.
Girls, where are you? Come on up here. One more time around for me, will you?
Hey, I'm going to tell you what, I can hear that shot all the way back to where I was sitting. That was phenomenal, bro. Thank you. Hey, I'll tell you what, how long you been training?
Earlier about all the different
How long you been training?
that little devils have. Many of them are available.
I'll tell you what, you've done an outstanding job here tonight. I really personally am going to say right now, I'm going to see you in the finals. I think you'll be in the finals. Thank you very much. I hope to see you there. Definitely.
Well, I don't think Alex is going out too far on a limb there, predicting Dan's going to be in the finals. He's certainly the class of that division.
Daniel calls it the right leg roundhouse there that put an end to Eric Medina. And I do want to make this point that you know Daniel outside the ring, and he certainly doesn't go out to hurt anybody. He's going to do what it takes to win the fight, and he just happened to get a good contact there.
Oh, Daniel's about the nicest guy you'll ever meet outside the ring, but I tell you what, he's a terror inside the ring. I wouldn't want to face him.
So he advances. Daniel Green moving on in the Ultimate Combat Experience.
Fight of the week is next. Hey, Tim and Mike, Take it away.
As we get back into the action, it's another no-holds-bar match tonight, and we're going to start in the red corner. Looks like Jeremy Haskell is going to step into the ring here, Mike.
Well, Jeremy's a physical specimen, isn't he? He's a wrestler. He's actually had a little bit of collegiate wrestling, and he's from back east somewhere.
Isn't he a coach also somewhere here in town?
He's one of the assistant wrestling coaches at Murray High School.
His opponent tonight going to be fighting out of the blue corner. Here he comes, is Tim Wilde. What do we know about Tim?
Tim's a submission fighter out of old Richie Layton's gym up there in Ogden, the Ogden Fighting Alliance. He's had quite a few fights. He's kind of one of the favorites in this division.
Now a tough-looking kid, too, and Lonnie Faulkner will be our referee. 3 3-minute rounds is what we're scheduled for, and we're underway as they come out, and they do touch gloves. We're ready to go. Tim starts to throw a punch, but instead they get tied up.
They immediately tie up here. I'm not really sure to whose advantage. They're kind of tied up in the ropes right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, not much of an advantage here. The ropes will not stop a no-holds-bar fight unless you get tangled up in them. And right now, a good lock on Tim Wilde's by Jeremy Haskell.
Nice little punch over the top from Jeremy.
Unlike our last 2 no-holds-bar fights, these guys are on their feet when I expected this might be the one that goes right to the mat.
Looks like these two are actually pretty skilled on their feet. They show really good hip mastery and good balance, both guys.
Now Tim throwing some punches, and Jeremy keeping his head down. The ropes again might play a factor in this, just in the sense that you can't really get your arms back. And what's happened here?
Looks like Tim's either got an equipment problem or an injury of some sort.
Well, he's looking to his corner, Rich Layton, and Lonnie's going to wave it off. I don't know what happened. I couldn't tell from what our view was here on exactly.
Looks like Tim's holding his thumb there. He may have hurt it, injured it when he punched Jeremy on the side of the head there.
Well, it's either a thumb or a forefinger, and I was about to say the ropes don't stop these fights, but they can hamper you a little bit if you bring your arm back and try and, bring a punch and happen to get tied up in the ropes. I don't think that's what happened. It looked like it was contact with Jeremy Haskell, but an obvious injury to that hand.
That's too bad. This looked to be a really good fight. Both guys demonstrated really good skill initially, and that's too bad. That would have been a great fight.
Well, you can see, and there's a little bit of blood on Tim's face too, but Lonnie again just waving this one off, and frustration more than pain, I think, on the face of Tim Wilde. He really wanted to finish this fight.
Oh, I think Tim's extremely frustrated. He's a very talented fighter, and again, he was one of the favorites in this division, and it's got to be pretty disheartening for him.
He's favoring that hand. Lonnie's got a hold of it now as we get ready to announce our winner, and didn't take long. It looked like it was going to be one that went well on into the rounds, but look at the face on Jeremy Haskell.
That Jeremy's a specimen, though. I don't see any body fat on that.
No, there's your winner, Jeremy Haskell. Let's go back up into the ring.
That was a real short fight. What happened in there?
I don't know. The boy was tough. Never take credit for him from that. He's a tough fighter, but we got a little mix-up. Next thing you know, his nose was all busted up, and that was it.
They seemed to stop that fight because of his thumb. What did he do? Get his thumb locked or something?
I don't know. I felt his hand hit there. I just pushed.
Maybe he tore a ligament in there or something.
Hope not, so I can fight him again.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think you're in great shape. I look forward to seeing you go ahead and continue in this tournament. I think you're going to be in the finals.
Boy, these guys are both game fighters. It's fun because Tim obviously didn't want to go out that way, and Jeremy didn't want him to get injured because he wanted to fight him fair and square, too.
Very seldom you see 2 guys right after a fight want to fight again, so yeah, these guys are both good fighters.
Yeah, and so the blood was coming from the nose. We'll have to wait and find out exactly what happened with the thumb of Tim Wilde. But for now, Jeremy Haskell moves on in the Ultimate Combat Experience.
Hey, we'll be right back. Let me tell you what, this is the final fight of the night, and let me tell you something, it's gonna be killing.
And our
Placed at a disadvantage by the ropes, you have to break it up and get them restarted.
So they get back into their corners, and we're right back into the action here. But yeah, there's these guys look more willing to throw some punches than actually do the grappling to the mat, and both could really do some damage. We need to remind everybody, these aren't the 12-ounce gloves we have in kickboxing. These are basically knuckle to knuckle almost.
No, you get hit by one of these shots, you're taking every bit of that punch.
You see Giovanni throwing some knees in there as well to Tyler Tomlinson, and Tyler trying to get that right hand in along with a couple of knees, but both holding on pretty tight at this point.
Those knees sure can be devastating as well. Looks like Tyler grabbed onto the leg there looking for a takedown here.
Yeah, and Giovanni backed completely out through the ropes, but Now he's got quite a hold on him. It's not quite a chokehold because Tyler's arm is tying it up a little bit.
Yeah, if that arm wasn't in there, this would be a guillotine choke, and he would be in a really good position right here.
You can see Giovanni applying some pressure and really rearing back, but Tyler's arm is kind of spoiling that hold for the moment. We'll see if he gets out of it.
One thing that'll do, though, it'll really take it out of you. It looks like Giovanni's arms are a little bit like rubber right here.
Well, and he stumbled back a little bit like he's getting a little weak-kneed early on in this fight, but he makes a good right-hand punch, and Tyler follows it with a couple of his own now, and a knee.
Well, those knees are tough. Those knees are tough. Both these guys are landing some pretty big shots here.
And neither one, at this point, taking the other one down. You see Tyler throw a kick that didn't make contact and spun himself around a little bit, but steps back in to mix it up a little bit. Right and left and another right hand to the body, but Tyler follows it with a knee. And now Giovanni is on the outside of the ropes, but again, Tyler continues to throw punches, and Lonnie Foster is there to pull Giovanni back into the ring, and he's trying to get him back up on his feet, but you know what? He looks like he's hurt.
Looks like Giovanni may have hurt a rib as he went out of the ring there.
Lonnie's talking to him. Tyler's got a little blood on his face as well, and you know what? Lonnie's waving this one off. It was hard to tell what happened. I don't think it was actually a punch or a knee. You can see Tyler shaking his head.
Well, I don't know if Giovanni was hurt there or just decided he'd had enough. He's obviously not in really great condition. I don't know if he's hurt or what.
Yeah, it looked like maybe the outer edges of that ring when he landed out may have either bruised or maybe cracked a rib. That's where he's holding, is right there on his left side.
Yeah, he's still holding on to that rib. Looks like he may have injured himself.
Tyler's upset, though, because he wanted this fight to continue, and if you're going to go on in the Ultimate Combat experience, you'd like to have, you know, a good workout before next week's match anyway.
I tell you what, Tyler did show some good stuff there, though. It looks like he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this division.
Giovanni grimacing as he holds that left side, but Lonnie Foster steps in. Let's make it official. Your winner again, fighting out of the blue corner, is Tyler Tomlinson, and he indeed will move on in the Ultimate Combat experience. Let's go up into the ring and see what he has to say following the fight with Alex and AJ.
Hey, Tyler, what happened on that last exchange as you got him out of the ring?
As you leave tonight, too, make sure
I feel like shit right now, man.
T-shirts.
Are you a little worked out?
No, dude, all my fights, I always come out slow, and then I finish and dominate. And I was just coming out slow, I was just barely getting back into it, getting my head together, and next thing I know, it's over.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think when you worked him outside of the ring right there, it looked like his corner was right there, his ribs landing on it. And I think as you was pummeling him, all that pressure might have cracked something in there.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I mean,
Have we got all our fighters?
I don't want to feel like I just left it one because he was tired.
Let me hear one more time for
When he
all
gets
the
in shape,
fighters
tell him to
tonight
holler,
for
and
the
then we'll go
Ultimate
again.
Combat Experience.
I think you did a great job tonight, Tyler.
I'm not satisfied, man. I'm not.
Your next fighter.
Well, I'm 4-0 now. I'm going to keep going.
Hey, all right. AJ, you got anything?
Are you going to be ready to train for the next finals?
Yeah, I'll be ready. I'll probably end up running into Kyle or one of his buddies. And those guys are going to be awesome.
Thank you to our
This division we're in, 165 to 180 is the toughest division right now. So many good fighters.
That's it for the first half of round one. And let me tell you something, I've made some kind of judgments here in my mind, and what I'm seeing is these fighters are going to have some skill, they're going to have some cardiovascular, and they're going to have to be one tough hombre to step in this squared circle here at the Ultimate Combat Experience. So I need everybody to make sure that you stay tuned, because the action's only going to get better, the fights are only going to get better, and I'll tell you what, we're going to find out who the toughest fighter is here in Utah at the Ultimate Combat Experience.